This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
All this Prime Minister can do is blame others for the exorbitant inflation that he has imposed on Canadians' food bills. He promised a month ago that by Thanksgiving Day, food would be affordable. Yet since that time, the CEO of the Food Bank says that now we have more Canadians than ever relying on assistance just to eat. And a poll out just today shows that 2/3 of Canadians are actually afraid for their health because they can't buy nutritious food after 8 years of this Prime Minister. So will he keep his promise, yes or no, to deliver an affordable Thanksgiving dinner to Canadians?
Mr. Speaker, we see that the Leader of the Opposition is always ready to play political games, because a few weeks ago we moved forward with the Affordable Housing and Groceries Act, which will help build more rental homes and increase competition, including amongst the largest groceries. But instead of working with us to move this forward before Thanksgiving, the Conservative opposition chose to obstruct debate around these measures. We're going to continue to stay focused on helping Canadians while they stay focused on playing political partisan games.
Encore une fois, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister pretends that he's not in a majority coalition with the NDP, when in fact he is, and he can pass any law he wants at any time. And that's why he promised a month ago that we'd have an affordable Thanksgiving. I know it was a ridiculous promise. I'd hate to have to hold him to something so absurd after he caused prices to rise so quickly. But it was his promise. So, will he reverse the food price inflation he caused by Monday so that Canadians can have an affordable turkey dinner? Yes or no?
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, times are difficult for Canadians right across the country, as they are difficult for people around the world. The war in Ukraine, the global inflation crisis, the after effects of the pandemic have all caused real challenges. And that's why, as a government, we've been there to support people, whether it's with the grocery support, whether it's now with the Affordable Housing and Competition and Groceries Act. Now, the problem is, Mr. Speaker, is the Conservatives chose to obstruct debate on that act, to delay it. And we call on them to help us move forward on this to make sure that Thanksgiving and future Thanksgivings are more affordable for Canadians.
L'honorable Chef de l'Opposition.
After 8 years of excuses and inflationary debt and taxes, food prices and mortgage prices are raging out of control. In fact, mortgage payments are up 150%. When the government borrows money, competes with Canadians for their mortgage rates, it drives up the cost of lending. So will the Prime Minister tell Canadians how much will his government borrow this year? How much?
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, on the one hand, Conservatives continue to call for cuts to spending and cuts to supports for Canadians, but at the same time, they say there's not enough access to housing. And they put forward a plan, a private member's bill, to tackle the problem of housing affordability. The problem is it won't build homes fast enough, it doesn't reach enough cities, and it creates unnecessary bureaucracy, Mr. Speaker, while cutting the Accelerator Fund and ripping up our agreements to build more homes with cities like London and others across the country. On this side, we're actually linking public transit dollars to housing density, working with cities to ensure their housing proposals are ambitious, and addressing the bureaucracies to slow.
L'honorable Chef de l'Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was how much? You see, when the government borrows billions of dollars out of the economy, it bids up interest rates. Those interest rates have already ballooned faster under this Prime Minister than under any other in monetary history. So once again, how much, and how much will this government borrow from the economy this year? Just the number, please.
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to talk down Canadians and talk down the Canadian economy, we're going to continue to put Canada's strong fiscal position in service of Canadians. Yes, Mr. Speaker, our strong fiscal position. We have the lowest deficit in the G7. We have the best debt to GDP ratio in the G7. And we're one of the 3 largest countries in the world with a AAA credit rating from the bond agencies. Mr. Speaker, we have been there for Canadians and we have been responsible stewards of the public purse, and that means we will continue to be able to support Canadians through these difficult times, including with the measures we have right now.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The bond agencies he brags about were the same ones who were charged because they falsely claimed the subprime crisis would never happen in the United States of America. Canadian households, after 8 years of this Prime Minister, are more indebted than any other country in the entire G7. And interest rates have gone up faster than at any time in monetary history after 8 years of this Prime Minister. All of this is driven by his massive addiction to borrowing. So the average barber or waitress knows how much they borrow. Does the Prime Minister, who's the head of a $500 billion government, even know how much he's borrowing out of the country this year?
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker, we see once again the Leader of the Opposition's tried and true tactics of attacking the facts when they don't suit his purposes. Mr. Speaker, the international bond rating agencies like Moody's and S&P that have ranked the top economies as AAA economies, the United States, Germany, and then Canada in the world's largest economies, have said that our fiscal plan is sustainable. As we are there to support Canadians, as we demonstrate fiscal prudence, as we support Canadians through this difficult time. Now, he can wage war on experts and the facts and demonize them all he likes, but we will keep being there for Canadians grounded in the facts.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Even tell us the facts.
That's right.
Because he doesn't even know the facts.
Exactly.
This is a man who is going to borrow $421 billion this year. If the government bought 421 billion apples, the price of apples would go up. When they borrow $421 billion, the price of debt goes up in higher interest rates. That's why Canadians are paying 150% more on their mortgages. How much will this government force Canadians to spend on national debt interest this year?
Hear, hear. Le très honorable Premier ministre.
I know Canadians won't be taking any condescending economics lessons from the Leader of the Opposition after he proposed to Canadians that a good way of avoiding inflation was to buy crypto, Mr. Speaker. That was his economic counsel to Canadians, and if they had followed it, they would have lost almost half of their life savings. Mr. Speaker, you can understand we won't be taking any economics lessons from that guy.
Colleagues, I know that we are caught up with the passion of the debate. I ask you to always direct your comments through the chair and to also make comments which are not disruptive to the House. The honourable member of the official opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that Prime Minister should be taking economics lessons from everyone. Everyone. This is a guy who said budgets balance themselves right before he doubled the debt. This is a guy who said he doesn't think about monetary policy right before he led interest rates to rise faster than at any time in Canadian history. This is a guy who, up until I told him, didn't even know how much he was borrowing out of the Canadian economy. This is a guy who's doubled the rent, doubled mortgage payments, and doubled the needed down payment. Mr. Speaker, it's about time he took some lessons. Why doesn't he go to the library and do a little bit of studying?
Colleagues, I ask us to make sure that our comments are not disruptive to the House.